There you go. Hello all. I'm going to explain my research now. So the title of this presentation is Understanding Natural Controls in Virtual Reality Games. So first of all, let's introduce myself, if this works. I'm a first year EPPC student. This is a joint program between the University of York, Goldsmiths, and the University of Essex. I'm based in York, and I'm a very passionate game developer. I love making games. It's like my whole life is about that. I have a question for all of you before continuing. Who has played any VR games? Raise your hand. Alright, very few people. So, for the ones that have played, and the ones that haven't played, VR games involve a lot of motion controls, right? So you need to pick objects, you need to turn away, you need to pull levers. It's a very novel interaction. So I'm actually trying to research this because it's a very cool new technology, but we don't really understand how it affects us. So I'm trying to understand the relationship between motion controllers and VR games, right? So I have this very broad research question right now for my thesis. How do controllers affect player experience? Because there have been previous research on controllers, motion controllers, and games on a normal screen. But not that much research with VR. This is very new. So, how am I doing this? Where I'm mapping different constructs related to player experience and controllers. Right, so I map engagement, what is engagement, how do we relate to other constructs such as immersion, aesthetics of interaction, game feel, control design features, how do we design controllers, and the one I'm looking right now is embodiment. Right, this is just the beginning of a 10-point review in different constructs. So as you can see, it's huge and very time-consuming. So yeah, well, that's what I'm looking at. That's my review and so on. What I'm presenting here at MOCO. Well, I have conducted 2 studies. The first one is the one I'm presenting here to the Doctoral Symposium. It's the study of control display ratio on player immersion in a VR game, right? I will explain it further. The second study I've done this year, in my first year of my PhD, that I'm also presenting here as a practice work, is a study of how natural controls affect the development of a motion control game. But I have that in my poster downstairs and we can talk about it later. So we will focus on the first study, the one on control display ratio. Right? So I'm exploring the relationship between these 2 things, immersion and control display ratio. So what is immersion? Immersion is the scale of involvement with a game, where exists a division into 3 different levels, named engagement, engrossment, and total immersion. Right? This is one of the definitions I picked. And what is this thing, control display ratio, right? Well, this is the amount of time it takes for the position of the controller representation in the virtual world, that is, your virtual hands in this virtual world, to date to the controller's position in the real world. Right? So imagine this shadow here. This is my virtual world representation, and this is my real world representation. So how much time it takes to update, right? This is one-to-one, it's automatic. See, but if it could be accelerated somehow, that would be unnatural, right? So that's what I take from my experiment, right? I say like a natural one-to-one control display ratio is natural, so it should increase immersion, and a natural acceleration one should decrease immersion, right? That's my assumption. So I made the experiment with the HTC Vive that provides like this tracking technology for the head and for the hands and so on. It's really cool. If you haven't tried, you should. It's fantastic. And I was having 2 conditions for the experiment with 16 participants. Condition A, the control group was playing a VR game with natural ratio, and condition B with an unnatural ratio, the accelerated one. For my data analysis, I was using a questionnaire that has been validated by researchers in my university, the Immersive Experience Questionnaire. It basically measures immersion. And I was making a post-gameplay interview. Right, so what I found. Well, found out nothing, basically. Because it's kind of hard to measure these things, and honestly, it was a pilot study and it's mostly inconclusive. But I found a very strong effect size, even though I don't have any significance in my data. Condition B, the one with the accelerated natural ratio, actually reported higher level immersion, but it's not significant. But the large is a very strong effect size. Well, there might be something going on there, but not necessarily. So why is this? Why this might be happening? Well, if you are seeing your hand accelerated, right, it might be that you're having a higher cognitive load, right? Like you're saying, oh, well, my hand is not moving properly. And you're focusing there and you're paying more attention, and that will maybe increase immersion because of the way the questionnaire has been framed. Well, I don't know. It might be because of a brain sync effect. So like, our brain syncs in a determined speed, and the computer syncs in another one. So maybe if it's too slow, it's actually better for the brain to increase immersion. Well, I don't know. Or maybe it's just because a lot of the participants were new to this technology, and it really has a very strong effect on them. That's my strongest hunch. I think like novelty plays a huge role in these kind of experiences. So basically, I have these results, right? So what I'm doing there next? So I'm gonna do a proper experiment with a bigger sample size and more conditions. I'm gonna test actually what's the effect of not seeing your hands, because I think I have a hunch there as well, that whether or not you see your real hands on the screen, right? If I'm looking at a flat screen, I can see my hands and how they relate to this control display ratio. But if I'm wearing a headset, I only see my virtual hands. How that affects immersion, this is something that I think is worth looking at. So I'm having these conditions, I'm making a more sophisticated data analysis and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, so conclude the talk. We really don't understand how motion controls affect our experience while playing, but I'm having a lot of fun with it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is Caroline there? Yeah. Yes.
I have your PowerPoint on my laptop.
Okay.